Hey, what's going on everybody? Mala here. It's been a little over 3 months since the release of the Pixel 2 and the Pixel 2 XL, and a lot has happened from then to now. Enough even, maybe, to change your mind about the XL version. Not that they were bad phones, that's not what I'm saying. It's just that they had pretty big issues with the display at launch. Not everybody had them, but a bunch of people did. And all that bad press, Google can't have been happy about that. But at least it got Google to rush back to the assembly line and try to fix stuff. And now they are significantly better. So this is what that means and everything you need to know. Quick recap first. The Pixel 2 XL is an $849 phone with 64 gigs of not expendable storage. You can spend $100 extra for 128 gigs, but you have free unlimited Google Photo storage, so 64 is plenty for apps and music, basically. It's still not a cheap phone, exactly, but it does have 2 years of warranty plus 3 years worth of updates for the Pixel 2, which is a pretty damn good deal. Now, despite having a little bit of metal up here, the backplate is basically metal, so no wireless charging. But this time it does have IP67 water and dust resistance. What it doesn't have is a headphone jack, and this is kind of what it took for me to realize that I really don't use headphones with my smartphone that much, which ties in perfectly with the dual front-facing speakers that sound really good. Side note, I did test my SHB 9500 with the Pixel 2 XL, and overall volume, I got around 65 to 70% of what I could get with my S8 Plus, so there's that. Single cameras front and back, 3500 mAh battery, and fast charging USB Type-C to keep you always juiced up and ready to use your Pixel. And speaking of using your phone, amazing performance here. Obviously, this is stock Android on top of custom hardware made for it, and that is with a bunch of sensors and microphones and a bunch of stuff, constantly monitoring everything to give you what it thinks might be interesting information, like traffic estimates from your home to your work before you leave, or weather alerts, or even the Now Playing feature that shows what's the name of the song that's playing where you are. Oh, not to mention the actual assistant that's now better, faster, and easier to access with the simple new squeeze feature. Google really went all out in tweaking every little detail in the software and its features so that you can get the most out of using your Pixel 2 and that it is your personal assistant. And of course, it has great battery life, but the icing on the cake here is actually the standby power management, which for lack of better wording is iOS level. I never went to bed and woke up the next morning with more than a 1 to 3, maybe 4% drop in battery. I already expected battery life on the Pixel 2 XL to be awesome, but this was a super welcome surprise. Okay, quick recap over. Aside from being a very smart phone, one of the most fun things you're going to be doing with your Pixel 2 is definitely going to be taking loads of pictures and videos with it. And this camera package really is that much better than every other smartphone right now. Sharpness, detail, dynamic range, color accuracy, focus, contrast, low light performance, vibrance, everything is on point. Video is also amazing across all the same aspects, and to boot, it has the absolute best stabilization you can find on a phone. But you do have to give props to Apple here, because the iPhone X and the 8 Plus do a slightly better job with detail and noise reduction in low light recordings. Still, there's no contesting that the Pixel 2 has the absolute best cameras across all smartphones. Oh, and special kudos for the bokeh effect on the portrait modes, because both the front and back cameras do such an amazing job that it's really hard to tell the results apart from a big camera most of the time. It really is that good. Now, as if all that wasn't already enough to convince you about the camera, there's also something called the Pixel Visual Core, which is a processing unit that can enhance your phone's skills to take shots and speed up the process with which the camera uses machine learning and neural networks to get better. And that's already cool AF. But with Oreo 8.1, now third-party apps can also use the visual core like Instagram. And the more apps and the more phones use it, the faster it learns. So what is already the best camera is constantly improving itself. Awesome. Alright, now let's go from the best part of the Pixel 2 back to talking a little bit about its big flaw on launch, the display. Launching with this kind of quality control problems is unacceptable for a flagship like this. But I'm glad to say that 3 months in, and Google's, rushing back to the assembly line to fix stuff, actually fixed stuff. The latest patches of the phone, mine included, are not showing burn-in issues and ghosting right out of the box anymore, which is dope. And perhaps we will end up seeing it after a longer while of usage, like 1 or 2 years, which is normal for OLED panels. And even the blue shift, which is also normal for OLED screens, by the way, has now been greatly reduced and it's much less aggressive. So again, thumbs up. The other thing that got a bunch of people mad has to do with color calibration. Because OLED panels have very deep blacks, contrasting that with super vibrant, vivid colors makes images pop. That's a fact. What's also a fact is that even very well calibrated displays like the Note 8 or the S8 for that matter, that use that much contrast, that play around with such vibrant colors, are not very color accurate. Well, Google decided they wanted super accurate, super true to life colors for the Pixel 2 display. The problem is if you simply get them side by side with the Note 8 and compare the displays, it's definitely going to look like a not as good of a display with much more muted colors. That is a matter of personal preference, but so many people complained that Google went ahead and put in a saturated mode in Oreo 8.1. Unfortunately, it's really not a good one. Everything has way too much red, orange, and yellow. Personally, I like the boosted mode and have been enjoying the hell out of my Pixel 2 display since I got it. And the more true-to-life colors, I feel like they're refreshing, actually. But just in case you guys like a more saturated look, you can try out an app called Oreo Colorizer, which obviously works with Android Oreo, that does a much better job with the colors than the saturated mode. Even though it does hit the performance of the phone a little bit, so choices. Alright, so from all that, putting it all together, you get the picture that Google picked and chose a couple of very specific battles they really wanted to win. And they did, because the Pixel 2 and the Pixel 2 XL are really good smartphones. They work seamlessly, it's simple and uncomplicated like only stock Android is, not to mention the absolute best camera and the off-the-charts battery management. But they're also clearly not perfect and not for everybody. And even now with the really bad display issues kind of solved, 3 months in, I know, but this is more like a better late than never sort of scenario. Even with that, the Pixels do still have their quirks, and depending on how you'd like to use your phone, there might be some drawbacks that you may not be willing to accept for the price range. That said, if it is in your budget, as long as you know what you're getting yourselves into, and you know which are the drawbacks you'll be facing, if any, there's actually no denying that this is a really good phone and one of the best smartphones you can buy, even if you never squeeze it. Well, that's been it for me and for the Pixel 2 XL. This is taking its place as my new daily driver, and I can't wait to see how it's going to improve itself even further, getting better and smarter with the coming months. So, thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one.